Don't try this at home, guys. We are professionals. All right, hello once again, everyone. I'm Kevin Staigh, owner of Halo Power Solutions. We are Sherwood Park's most trusted electricians. So today, our very special guest is our own Mike Barich. Welcome to the show, Mike.
It's nice to be here.
All right, well, it's great to have you on the Halo Powerhouse today. And what are we going to be talking about today?
Kitchen renovations, different options, permits, and all the important stuff that you need to know.
Kitchen renos, that's a big one. We've done a lot of kitchen renovations here in the last year. And what do you think's driving this? Like, why are people all of a sudden, you could go buy a new home. Why are they doing the kitchens?
A lot of things I hear in the field is because they can't travel. They want to spend their money on something, and upgrading their house is probably the top of the list.
You know, what I hear from realtors too is best bang for your buck is, renovating the kitchen, renovating the bathroom, that sort of thing. So,
yeah.
So Mike, you are a residential service manager, and I can say with all my heart that since you've come on board with Halo Power, my life has gotten so much easier. So thanks for that. But you're knocking it out of the park. You've been with us for
just over a year.
Just over a year, man. It's flew by.
It has.
Yeah, and prior to coming on board with Halo Power, where were you?
I was at Ewell, electrical wholesale. Previous to that, I was in the trade for a solid 10 years. And then I got out to get into sales, and that's I worked for a couple wholesales in that time, and expanded my experience in the industry to not just field, but sales and a whole bunch of other areas.
So journeyman electrician. You got your sales background with the wholesalers, and now you're on board with Halo Power as our residential service manager.
Absolutely.
So what a great fit.
Great company.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
So, things have changed from the old houses. Right now we'll get calls from customers saying, I ran my coffee pod, we plugged in the toaster, and the breaker's tripping. So, what's changed, with the way they wire new houses or even homes that were built in the last 20 years from, say, a house that was built in 60s or 70s as far as the wiring circuitry goes?
The major upgrade from nowadays is 20 amp receptacles. It prevents any overloading of a circuit. As from the olden days, there would be a 15 amp breaker, sometimes a 2-pole breaker that have a split receptacle. And the downside to that is you can still be plugged into appliances on the same circuit and cause it to trip. Whereas the 20 amp is a big enough upgrade where the odds of tripping the breaker are less likely.
So where do I need the upgraded 20 amp plugs? Is that everywhere in the kitchen?
Any counter plug.
Counter plugs, okay.
Yeah. Any counter plug is going to have to be 20 amps, and anything within 1.5 meters of the sink is going to have to be a GFI.
Ah, right, the GFI zone.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about the circuitry and the changes that have come along from a home that was built 40 years ago, what's really different with as far as appliances go?
Things have changed so much that fridges, they can tell you if you're out of milk nowadays.
Use a lot of power.
They do.
Yeah.
Dishwashers, carburetors, microwaves, they all take a lot more power than they previously did. So those are all dedicated. They need to be on their own.
Islands. Everyone wants to have an island in the kitchen now, right? And so what goes along with that? Because you can't just plunk an island in your kitchen and call it done. There's actually some electrical that needs to be ran there.
Yeah. Every island's going to have a plug on it, at least one, sometimes two. Some people are putting their microwave in there, so there's different things that we have to take into account when looking at an island and the dedicated circuits we might need for there.
And we talk about permits a lot. So when we're talking about kitchen renos, what do we need to know about permits? I would assume electrical permit.
Yeah, so permits definitely need electrical, might need plumbing, building, a lot of things that could go into it, and definitely look into that with your local tradespeople. They'll let you know what you need.
Let's say I'm going to decide to do a kitchen renovation myself. Gonna get on my sledgehammer like I see on Home and Garden TV there and just start banging out some walls here. So do you recommend this for Joe Blow homeowner to just start his own kitchen reno?
No, not at all. There's too many risks at it. You don't know what's behind the drywall. You don't know what you're going to hit, damage. It's not just electrical, it's plumbing. Maybe there's a heat vent in there. A lot of things that could go wrong if you're going to just start swinging and cutting.
Yeah. Looks so easy on TV though.
Oh yeah.
Right?
They're professionals.
Let's talk about some of the things we found when we, start a kitchen renovation, especially on a kitchen that might have been renoed 20 years ago by somebody else. And what I'm talking about is what's hiding behind the drywall from an electrical standpoint.
Oh,
I'm thinking junction boxes.
Junction boxes are probably the biggest one. If a homeowner does their own work, they tend to like to put junction boxes everywhere. And unfortunately that becomes a nightmare for us trying to figure out what goes where and what's in that junction box. Is the connections correct? It can get really, really messy.
Well, how many times have we found junction boxes buried behind the drywall?
Yeah, another no-no.
Oh my God, is it ever?
Yeah, any junction box has to have access, but not all homeowners know that. They like to just throw it in and be done in some cases. So,
well, I've always seen in the older homes, it's always they want to take out a wall, they want to open up the kitchen, but you start opening up that wall, what are you going to find? You've got, like you say, ductwork, maybe some plumbing, but there's wiring running from upstairs, downstairs. So what do? Cut it, put a junction box in. Sometimes they don't even put in a junction box. We've seen situations where there's been a piece of extension cord that was ran through the wall, up and around the opening, and just some morettes, some wire nuts put on, just open splices in the drywall.
Free air splices, those some of the most dangerous connections you can make.
Terrifying. It's terrifying. Now let's talk about lighting. Lighting's come a long way. I mean, gone are the days of just having, the one, maybe you got one surface mount light on the fixture, or maybe that horrible chandelier over the dining room table that looked like it had candles in it. Mm-hmm. And the dust collectors, little tubes and stuff.
Beauties.
Yeah, I mean, what are you seeing now in kitchens as far as lighting goes?
Lighting is probably one of the hardest industries to keep up to. It's changing weekly, but the options that are out there give homeowners so many choices to brighten it up, to make it look newer, and just make it a little more up to date.
So what's the most popular choice for a kitchen as far as lights go?
Typically, what we've been installing is the Halo Slim lights. They're just the real slim pot light looking style.
Yeah, they look like a pot light, but there's no can in the ceiling, right?
That's right. Yeah, much easier to install. Still gives you that really nice light, the nice clean look on your ceiling. Can't miss.
Yeah, and it draws so little power.
That's right.
I mean, lighting changes everything. It's your mood, and if you're getting older, maybe your eyesight's going a little.
Doesn't happen.
I think the lighting upgrade.
I mean, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, show off. The lighting in the kitchen's huge. I mean, it just changes everything. Also, what we're finding is under cabinet lighting.
Under cabinet lighting, huge. Not even just for lighting, it's just more of a highlight. You get up in the middle of the night, you don't want that big bright light on, you turn your under cabinet light, and it gives you that nice light just to be able to see around with a little design. But there's different options for under cabinet as well. Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, you can go fancy. You can have a color change dance party if you want to have that in your kitchen,
Yes,
right?
People are putting lighting in the toe kick underneath the cabinet, up on the top of the cabinets. I mean, there's so many options for that. And different types of homes pose different challenges for kitchen renos. I know in my experience, when we get into a house that there's a kitchen reno on the docket here, and they've got an unfinished basement, I think we all just cry a little victory cheer after that happens. It's like, yes, unfinished basement, thank you. Yes. The electrical gods are looking upon us. But yeah, go into that. What are the challenges? Because maybe homeowners don't know. In my house, I've got drywall ceilings in my basement wall of the kitchen. What's involved there opposed to having open ceilings or even a drop ceiling.
Yeah, that's stuff we always look for when we go into a house with any kind of renovation, especially kitchen. And obviously, drop ceiling, open ceiling are the best case scenario. Gives us freedom to run our wires where we have to get them. Drywall ceiling, there's times we may have to cut some holes in the ceiling just to get wires in the locations we need it. We do have different ways of covering those up or to prevent the homeowner from having to patch, but definitely challenges increase when you're talking drywall ceiling, two-story houses. You don't have the attic to crawl in, to move around in. Just makes it a little harder for us to get.
Especially for lighting, right? Because everybody wants pot lights, and we walk in and it's a two-story home, and I mean, we've got all kinds of tricks. But if I could train a weasel to run through ceilings between the floors on a two-story home with a wire in his mouth, then we could be getting somewhere. But that technology is, I'd probably get sued for cruelty to animals or something like that. But anyways,
whole nother video.
Right. And that's something to consider too from the homeowner standpoint. You're thinking of doing kitchen reno. Well, if your basement's unfinished, don't develop the basement first. Get the kitchen done first, because your tradespeople have full access to the underneath the kitchen from the basement, and it just there's less repairs. And really, from a cost standpoint, I think that's the big difference. Is it easier sometimes if the old drywall just gets torn down and start from scratch?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it might be, as a homeowner, I'd be like, oh my God, you want me to tear all the old drywall down? But I would think, after what we're talking about here, it may save me money in the long run than trying to patch up, building materials from 40, 50 years ago.
Absolutely. One of the other things we run into is aluminum wiring.
Oh, yes.
You get a junction box with aluminum wiring that a homeowner did, where he connected copper to aluminum, but he didn't use the right morettes. He didn't use the deox. And now you might have some breaking down of the wires, and that's a fire hazard. Those are things that we might not see if the drywall's up. To tear it all off sounds like a big price, and it would be, but it might save you in the end because of the things we might find.
All right, Mike. Well, I think that's about all the time we got today on the Halo Powerhouse, but I think we touched on some really great aspects of what a homeowner should know or need to know before he gets going on his kitchen reno. And really like what you had to share with us today. So thanks for being on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. And make sure you tune in to our next episode of the Halo Powerhouse. Mike and I will be talking about some of the horrors we see out there.
Was I supposed to do it?
Yeah, ready? 1, 2, 3. The horrors we run across on a daily basis. And that'll be entertaining. So
yeah, we have some good ones.
Oh, terrifying ones.
Bad ones, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. They're good ones, but they're bad ones.
Yeah.
So, thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. You can always find us online, halopower.ca. Of course, just look for Electrician Sherwood Park. You'll see we come up the top of page 1 with all those fantastic Google reviews that we get from our fantastic customers.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Halo Powerhouse.